What's up, guys? It's Bumpkins. Today is Thursday, July 21st. Yesterday was New Comic Book Day, and yesterday I did go down to Infinity Flux here in Chattanooga, Tennessee for another big old stack of books and a whole bunch of cool extra goodies as well. But I didn't get there until very late in the evening, almost right when they closed. I didn't have a whole lot of time to read very many of these books yesterday, so I decided to wait till today to make this video. So sorry for keeping you waiting on pins and needles. But before we get started, just real quick, if you are on the Whatnot app and you want to find a great seller who sells really great stuff, check out Infinity Flux. They are at Infinity Flux Comics, all one word, on Whatnot. They will be linked in the description below. They have auctions 3 or 4 times a week. They sell all kinds of good stuff, comics, old comics, new comics, keys, slabs, all that kind of stuff, action figures, all kinds of cool stuff. So if you want to find a great seller, check them out on Whatnot. Alright, so let's take a look at the books. I do have a lot this week, so I really am going to try to talk about them just a little bit less to make sure this thing isn't like a 30-minute video. I always say that and I always fail, but I'll try again. So starting with Marvel, we've got Fantastic Four number 45. So I actually bought this last week when it came out last week. I bought it then, talked about it on my last video, and when I went to read it this time, I realized, wait a minute, this is number 45. So last week, my shop was shorted some of their orders from Penguin, who is the distributor for Marvel. They didn't get some covers, right? So last week when I went to get my books, I thought, oh man, you know, Fantastic Four number 45 is not in there. No big deal. There's a copy on the shelf. I'll grab it. And then this cover showed up this week, and it was correctly in my box. So I didn't even realize it. I probably would have gotten it anyway because I love that cover. But yeah, so now I guess I just have 2 copies. Next up is Iron Man number 21. Still am super far behind on this series. I may as well have not even read any of this series at this point because I only read like the first 6 issues. So I just need to reread the whole thing. But for as long as Alex Ross is going to do these amazing A covers, I'm most likely going to buy it because those look great. Those are all, I need to like put these up on the wall back here or something because all these together are going to look great. Next is one I bought purely for the cover. I'm probably not even going to read it, but this is Star Wars The Mandalorian number 1. So this is another one that came out last week, but again, my shop was shorted their orders from Penguin Random House. They didn't get a bunch of different covers, so these finally came in. I ordered one for myself and one for my buddy Opie, so he's real happy to have that. This, from what I understand, this is basically just an adaptation of the TV show. I think this one is Season 1, Episode 1. I've seen the season. I thought it was really good. I don't need to read it again. I just like the cover. I love these action figure variants. And one featuring Mandalorian. Heck yeah, I'm going to get that. Alright, finally, so here's one I did read. Miles Morales Spider-Man number 40. So this is the next to last issue in the... Shoot, I can't remember the name of it. The story arc that they're telling right now. Where Miles is on an alternate universe. Where the city has been taken over by his evil double, his evil clone from that universe, and his name is Silam, which is Miles backwards. And you know, things are coming to a head. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of big revelations in this issue. It's just that the story is moving forward, moving towards an epic showdown between Miles and Selim, and it should be pretty cool. This is the Predator variant cover. Predator does not show up in this book. This is just a line of covers. But this has been a pretty decent story, but I'm kind of ready for it to be over. It's, you know, it's fine, but there's just so much multiversal stuff going on right now. I would just really like to see Miles just swinging around New York and punching some regular old bad guys. Next is New Fantastic Four number 2. So this one is, I'm buying this one basically because of the characters and because I have a fondness for the New Fantastic Four from the 90s, as everybody does. I mean, these 4 together, even though they only appeared in as a team for 3 issues of Fantastic Four in the 90s, it was still epic, right? So I'm getting this just for these characters. This is another one like the Ben Reilly miniseries that takes place just a little bit after when they originally teamed up as a team. But the story is okay. Like, I'm not loving the story, but I'm loving the characters together. They meet up in Las Vegas last issue. This issue, the priest they met up with last issue, this issue he realizes that all he has to do is wish something and it comes true, so that's kind of weird. Don't really know where that power comes from or what it's going to result in. But at the end of last issue, Ghost Rider was left on his own to fight against this demon while the other 3 of them are trying to get back to Vegas. And it's pretty cool. Like, I like this because I like Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, which is who this is. And it's cool to sort of see him back in action. We get some Johnny Storm action in this as well. Interesting endings. So the story is okay, but I love these characters together. Next is Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, #1. I got the nice art germ variant. So this is continuing the story that the previous Shang-Chi series set up, but I don't really know why they went with a new title, because it's the same writer, and Marcus Toad did the art, which he was doing some on the last series too. The only real difference with this now is that Shang-Chi is in possession of the Ten Rings, which is basically the rings that you saw in the movie. So it's not the 10 rings that we have known for decades that the Mandarin has. It's the bracelets that we saw in the movie. This is really fun though. I really like this. The art is great. There's a lot of action in this. It's interesting because Shang-Chi doesn't want the rings. Like, he's trying to give them back. Other forces are trying to get the rings, and in order to take them all on, he has to use the rings, but he feels like they're kind of corrupting them a little bit. Kind of like the symbiote, like Spider-Man putting on the alien symbiote, which would later become Venom. It's sort of kind of like that, but a little bit different. But he can tell that the rings are corrupting him. This is really good though. I really enjoy this book. Probably one of my favorites from Marvel right now. And I wish it hadn't. I wish it would have just continued the numbering, but I'm glad it's still going. Another one of my favorites from Marvel right now is She-Hulk. This is #5. I love this book just because it's just fun, right? It's not super high concept. You don't have to really think a lot about it. It's just a fun book. Right now it's focused on Jack of Hearts. Why is he back? What's up with his powers? Where did he come from in the first place? Why can't he remember anything? All that kind of stuff. And She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters, is helping him track down those answers. This book has some good action in it, some fun action in it. I'm loving the art in this. The colors are great. Just everything about this book is just, I'm loving it. I'm loving everything. And if you want to get prepared for the upcoming TV show, this might be a good one for you to check out. And last from Marvel is Venom Lethal Protector #4. I have caught up on this series, except I didn't get the chance to read this one yet. So this is another series that sort of takes place, not necessarily, the story's not necessarily in the 90s, but it takes place very shortly after some Venom miniseries that took place in the 90s. So Venom is still just classic Venom. There's none of this King in Black, Null, Venom out in space stuff, which I haven't even read. But this is just like classic Venom, and I'm really enjoying it. I like the art in this one too. The action is fun. Venom, he finds out that there's been a hit placed on him, and he doesn't know why, and he's got to find that out. So, like I said, I haven't read this one yet, but I'm very excited to do so. As for DC, it was a fairly light DC week. I only got to 4 books. The first one is my absolute favorite from DC right now, and one of my favorite books of any publisher right now, World's Finest #5. I absolutely love this book so much. This is just classic superhero fun. Superman, Batman, we've got the Doom Patrol, and some Supergirl is in this as well. We see a little bit of Robin. None of the other heroes, though, that we have seen that have cameoed in this were in this one, but that's okay. Written by Mark Waid, who is just, one of the greats of all time. Art by Dan Mora, who's probably my favorite artist doing comics right now. This is the end to the storyline they've been telling since issue #1. A lot of twists and turns and a lot of, possessed superheroes fighting other heroes, which I normally don't like, but in this case it works. I love this series so much. We do get a glimpse at the end of where the story is going, and guys, if you just want just fun superhero stories, definitely check this one out. So next is the book that I said I wasn't going to get, and I guess I'm on board for all of them. Dark Crisis Young Justice #2. I'm not loving this one so much, but the mystery is interesting. Tim Drake, Connor Kent, and Bart Allen have been transported seemingly to the past, is what it seems like, but things are still a little bit different. They are reliving some moments that they've lived through before, but things aren't the same. So in this one, Superman offers Connor the role of Superman, and Batman offers Robin the role of Batman, and same for Flash and Impulse. And you know what? This never happened. So they're trying to figure out where they are and why they're there. And in what I guess is present day, or at least present day proper universe, whatever you want to call it, Cassie is trying to figure out what's going on. So this one's all right. I'm interested in the mystery. I do want to find out what is going on. I just hope this one doesn't drag on too long. Again, I wasn't going to do any Dark Crisis, but my buddy Andy talked me into it, made it sound really awesome. I'm interested in some of the things to come in the main series, and anytime I dive into a big event like this, I can't not get the tie-ins, even if I don't like them so much. So speaking of Dark Crisis tie-ins, but one I would have gotten anyway, even if I wasn't doing this, is Flash number 784. Now, I haven't read this or the last one yet, because I'm not caught up on this run of Flash, but this is a Dark Crisis tie-in, and the last one was too, so I feel like I can go ahead and read those without having read everything before it and, know what's going on. So I need to read this and the one before it just to, get as much Dark Crisis as I can. And the last one for DC is one I haven't read yet because I'm super duper far behind on all this era of books, but this is Nightwing number 94, this awesome Nightwing Batgirl cover. Somebody's about to get busy, I guess. But yeah, I'm super far behind on, the Tom Taylor Nightwing, all the Tiny and era Batman books, which is, where this series first started. So yeah, this is going to go in the Bat box, and I will catch up at some point. So for the first time in a long time, I got more Image and indie books than I did Marvel and DC books, which is weird because as much as I love Image and the other indies, I'm trying to buy them in collected editions. But there was just so much stuff that came out this week that I wanted to read, so we'll go through them real quick. So for Image, I've got Gunslinger Spawn number 10. This awesome cover. I don't know who that guy is. I haven't read any of these, but it's going to go in my Spawn stack to be read. Next is Rogues Gallery number 1. So this one is pretty cool. This one is kind of meta a little bit too. So there is a TV show, a superhero TV show. Rogues Red, I think is what it's called. Sorry, I forgot. I think it's called Rogues Red. And it sounds like it's kind of sounds like it's like a CW DC show. It's been on for several years. I think it's been on for 10 years. And the story centers around this group of 4 or 5 friends. And a couple of them sound pretty terrible. Like I wouldn't be friends with them, but they're complaining about the latest season of this TV show and how the main actress in it is ruining the show according to them. And one of the guys is very super unlikable. He's like, they should just cancel the whole thing, and she's awful, and this is terrible, and they're ruining this. So it's that kind of discussion among friends, right? So they plan to break into her house to steal a special comic related to the show that she actually has. The whole issue is about their plan to do this. And we see them only just start to execute that plan at the very end of the issue, and let's just say things don't go as planned. So the end was really interesting, and I think I'm going to check out the next one because I want to find. It seems like there's something more going on, and I want to find out what it is. Next is The Silver Coin number 12. You guys know I love The Silver Coin, one of my favorite horror books from Image right now. This one, again, this is an anthology book. The only connective tissue between each issue, is the silver coin itself, but every story is self-contained. This one takes place in 1945. There are some American troops fighting against some German troops in the woods, and there's one guy who is just, he's never taken a life before. He's scared to do so, even though they're shooting at him. He comes into possession of the silver coin and just wishes that he could fight back like he needs to. And as you know, if you've been reading this or if you heard me talk about it, the silver coin does give you what you want, but pretty much in the worst way possible, right? So it does give him what he wants, but not in the way he expects, and that's all I'll say. So I'm continuing to love this series. It's been a home run for me ever since issue number 5, and I can't wait to see what's next. And last for Image is Skybound X number 25. Now, there have not been 24 other issues of this. The last one was number 5, but this is paying homage to when some of the Image comics jumped ahead to issue number 25 back in the 90s to give sort of a sneak peek of where those comics would eventually end up. And it's funny because most of those didn't even make it to issue 25, so that's kind of funny. But just like the other ones, this is an anthology book containing 4 different short stories, which are all going to eventually become their own books. So this one features a story of Battle Beast from Invincible. I don't know him very well. I haven't read much Invincible yet, but I will. A series called Dark Ride, which takes place in like a haunted amusement park, but one that's still like operating. Like think like a Six Flags or something, but with weird supernatural stuff going on. So that looks pretty cool. A book called Chroma, which was interesting. It's all about, you know, the last people on Earth, but for some reason they're all black and white, and they're living in a black and white city. But the rest of the world is color, and they can't interact with the color, or else these monsters will find it. It's pretty interesting. We only just got a little bit of a setup for that one, but I'm interested to see where that goes. And then Scurry is the last one, about little mice who are scurrying it. I think it's post-apocalyptic, and they're looking for food, and they run into some ne'er-do-wells. So yeah, this was a pretty good read. I enjoyed all the stories in this, and I will probably check all of them out when they become their own books. And as for the other indies, we've got Life Zero number 6. I'm behind on this one, I think about 3 issues or so, but I'm really enjoying it, and I look forward to catching up. Next from Aftershock, the second issue of A Calculated Man. So I really enjoyed the first one, about a guy who is a mathematical genius, has a perfect memory, just remembers everything about every experience he was ever in. He knows, you know, he can do like crazy math, like quantum level math stuff in his head, like so smart I can't even talk about it. And he was a former accountant for the mob. They let him go. He turns state's evidence. Witness, testified against them, and now they are out to kill him, but not if he kills them first. So this issue is really cool. So with this one and the last one too, there's a lot of words, right? There's a lot of dialogue. So it took me like twice as long to read this one, but it's still really interesting. We get to see the girl that he has been communicating with. They go out on their first date. They meet for the first time in this, and go out on a couple dates, and things seem to be going well there. And we just learn a little bit more about him and the experiences he's gone through, and his continued quest to kill all of the mob before they get him. This one's really good. It's been optioned for, I think, a TV series, so that should be really interesting. So yeah, I highly recommend this one. It's a little bit of a slower burn, a little bit of a slower read, but it's still really, really interesting. And the protagonist, Jack Beans, you would think he's kind of like this reclusive, kind of standoffish guy, but he's not, which makes this book really cool, because he's very, very open, very extroverted, very talkative, that kind of thing. So it's cool to see that kind of character in this kind of role doing these kinds of things. Next, from a new publisher called Artist Elite, this is Artist Elite number 1. So this is, there was a couple of primer issues that came out that gave little previews of stories that were to come. Different artists, Brett Booth, Tyler Kirkham, a bunch of guys like that, they have all created their own stories, and this issue showcases 3 of them. So kind of like the Skybound X, but only 3 stories. And this is the way these stories are going to be told, at least for a while, which I don't love, because I want to read some of them like month to month. But so this features 3 different stories from the Lost Serpent Prince, Final Boss, and Sandwiches, which this one was pretty silly, but kind of good. So the art in this is fantastic, and I think that's what, that's what the focus is the art. Telling good stories, but also with really good art. So new publisher, new stories. I'm excited to read more of this. Next up is Grimm number 3 with a super awesome virgin foil cover, which I cannot believe is an incentive variant. It's just a regular old variant cover that you can get. So the mystery deepens where Death is missing, and Jess and her friends, they're in the underworld. They have to try to find him. There is another being, oh shoot, I forgot his name. Is it the End, I think? And he wants to, Jess's crossover from the dead to the living has created an imbalance, and he this big being called the End. He wants to correct that imbalance. And like I said, where is Death? They've got to go find him and figure out what's going on. So this is a really fun read, and the covers are awesome. I recommend this book. Next up is a new one from Scott Snyder called Dark Spaces Wildfire. So this is a book about a team of female convicts who are working as, I don't want to say firefighters, but they're working, I don't know the name of it, like a fire brigade. Like they're actually out in the California wilderness, and there's a huge forest fire that's been raging for weeks, and they are part of the crew that's trying to take care of it, trying to put it all out. But they get a little sidetracked when one of the women says that her former boss owns a mansion a couple hours away or a couple miles away, and she knows about a lot of really expensive stuff that's in there, and they decide to go rob the place. So this whole issue is just introducing us to the characters. They don't really formulate the plan until the back half of the issue. They don't execute the plan. They only decide to actually go through with the plan at the end of the issue, so we haven't seen that yet. This was a really interesting read. This one is one that I'm going to wait for trade on, because I think it's going to make a really good story altogether. But yeah, and I will say that the very beginning of this issue shows us a tiny little peek into what eventually will happen after the heist, and we learn a little bit something about that sneak peek at the end of the book too, which adds a little bit more mystery to it. So yeah, I'm going to wait for trade, but whenever that comes out, I think this is going to be a great read. And last for the single issues this week is a new book from a publisher that I've never gotten anything from before. The publisher is Merck Publishing, and the book is Death Rage #1. Now, I didn't know anything about this. One might say that Death Rage here looks a lot like Deadpool, just with a black costume or silver costume instead of red. One also might say, one who has read the book, I should say, might say that he kind of sort of acts like Deadpool as well, but his backstory is wildly different. He is part of this super team called the Spartans, but we learn a bit about how he came to be there. He may or may not be working undercover for somebody else. What's cool about him is he has this helmet that he took from one of his targets that kind of like shows his emotion, like really cartoony, sort of almost like emojis, but not really. But like they're like he's real cartoony face, like his eyes and mouth will display like a digital display or whatever. This was a pretty interesting book. Like I wasn't sure what to think about it, being a book I've never heard of from a publisher I wasn't familiar with, but I kind of liked it. If you want to, if you're kind of into Deadpool, and I'm trying not to make too many Deadpool comparisons because I'm sure they don't like that, but it kind of is like that. But if you're into Deadpool and you want to read some more characters like him, maybe check this one out. But the fun doesn't stop there. Got a whole bunch of extra goodies as well, starting with taking me back to my childhood. I got a couple of packs of the original Batman 1989 movie trading cards. So my shop had 2 full boxes of them sitting on the counter. And I like these aren't reprints or anything. These are the ones that I bought as a kid. So I had to get 2 packs. They still have the gum in them and everything. The gum is disgusting. Even as a kid, I thought it was gross. I can feel it right there. It's not good. It's all powdery and hard and everything. But yeah, I am going to do a TikTok opening these. So follow me over there to see what's in them. Next is the Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries Volume 2. So this collects issues 7 through 12 of Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries. I got the first volume somewhere up here, and I haven't read it yet, but this just seems like a lot of fun. Like, I love Scooby-Doo as a kid. Obviously, I love Batman. I loved the Batman Scooby-Doo team-up episodes, so I love the art through this. It just looks like good classic fun. The Riddler's in here. I don't know what the story is, but next time I need, just a break from the world and just need to check my brain at the door and not have to think about something too much, I'm going to read this book. Next is Homesick Pilots Volume 3. So this collects issues 11 through 15 of Homesick Pilots. I really did enjoy this series. I was reading it very faithfully for the first probably 7, 8, 9 issues or so. And then I fell off a little bit. So I think I have the individual issues up through 10, which made getting this perfect because it continues on after that. I haven't read it in so long. I need to go back and reread the story, so I don't want to talk about the story too much because it's been a while. But I do remember that I did like it, and I can't wait to catch up with this. Next up is one I'm really excited about because I love this format, and I don't think there's too many of these yet. But this is Marvel Superheroes Contest of Champions hardcover gallery edition. So this is one of those. This is like the Weapon X gallery edition that I got a couple months back. This is one of those really, really big books. It's not super thick, but it's a big book. You can see when compared to a regular size comic, it's a lot bigger. So I think this format is great for reading, although it doesn't fit. Like, it doesn't fit on the shelf. Like, I have problems doing that, but I'll figure it out. So this collects Contest of Champions number 1 through 3, and then a couple of different Avengers annuals. So this story actually came out in 1982. This story is the very first Marvel crossover. Like, this predates Secret Wars by a couple of years. This predates Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is the first big kind of like inter-title crossover. I mean, other heroes popped up in other books from time to time, but this is the first time that this many heroes got together for a big event. This was originally supposed to be, this story was conceived as a tribute to the 1980 Olympics. That's what this was supposed to be, featuring heroes doing all competing in a grand sporting event, basically. But then when the U.S. decided to not participate in the 1980 Olympics, all those plans went out the door, but because the story was almost finished, they decided to just release it a couple years later in 1982. They removed all references to Olympics and things like that. And then instead made this, and this is super cool. What's really cool about this too is that I actually have an old copy of it in trade paperback. This is regular comic size. I don't even know when I got this. It was a long time ago. But yeah, it's a really fun story, and I just can't wait to reread it in this nice, big, oversized format. And last, but certainly not least, one that I'm super excited about. You guys love when I get my big boy books, and I love it too. This is the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1. So this collects Amazing Spider-Man, that has Amazing Fantasy 15 in it, as well as Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 38, and a couple annuals in there as well. This is just going to go right over there. I don't think you can see, it's just off frame there, but I've got Omnibuses 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is the last of the Amazing Spider. Well, I guess not, because there's like some Todd McFarlane stuff that comes after that, but you know what I mean, like consecutively they've gone up through volume 5. I never had number 1. It finally got reprinted. I finally got it with the classic cover. I have read all of these, for my History of Marvel videos, so I'm probably not gonna crack this open for a while until I want to go back through it again. But I'm just so happy to have this, my favorite series of all time, filling in a big old hole that I had with all my other omnibuses. This is awesome. And that's it, guys. After about 4 hours of talking about my comic haul this week, we're finally done. But it was a super awesome haul, an awesome week. I can't wait to dive into some of the stuff that I haven't opened up yet. Guys, I appreciate you watching this video. If you like this video or any of the other videos on my channel, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a sarcastic thumbs up. And if nothing else, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you picked up today. Did you get Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1? Did you get the big oversized gallery edition Contest Champions? Whatever it is, just let me know what you got. I love comic books. I could talk about them with a room full of people or just to a camera. Guys, don't forget, comic books are supposed to be fun. They're just another fun form of storytelling, fun stories, fun art. The vast majority of comics are fictional. They're all made up. In the grand scheme of things, none of it really matters anyway. It's just fun entertainment. There's plenty of stuff out there for everybody to look through and find something that they like, and it's super duper easy to simply ignore the things that don't interest you and let everybody else enjoy that stuff. Also, don't forget that it doesn't matter how much you buy each week or each month. What makes a great comic book haul is that the things that you get, like this, really mean a lot to you, and it gets you really excited for comic books and to read comic books and to collect comic books. Whether it's 1 book, 10 books, 100 books, it does not matter. The size of your collection doesn't matter. How much knowledge you have doesn't matter. None of it matters, just as long as you have a good time reading comic books. So guys, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.